Go.
What's going on? This is Brett Snodgrass, and welcome to Freedom Friday. This is where we talk about success and how to build freedom in your life as a real estate entrepreneur or a wholesaler, whatever you're doing in real estate investing. And I got my good buddy, CEO of Simple Wholesaling, Brian Snyder, on today's episode.
What up?
What's up, man? What's up, man? Don't get to see you much. I miss you. There's too much snow, and I don't get to come down. We don't
I
get to have
know.
meetings anymore. So.
You said a date to come down and like hang out with the team and stuff like that. And of course, it snows that day and things. So
Yeah, I know.
we'll see you. We'll see you this summer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, see you, tough golf. Hey, so Brian, I just want to have you on the show real quick. I know you kind of think about this a little bit differently too, and that's great, right? Everybody has their own opinion about freedom, financial freedom. Do you really want freedom? How do you build freedom? And all that, right? I have my opinion. Whoever's watching this has their opinion, and you obviously have your opinion. And today I just want to ask your opinion about financial freedom, if it's important to you. And so number one, when I say that word financial freedom, like what does that mean to Brian Snyder?
Yeah, a couple different things. And actually that's changed for me a little bit. I think if you were to ask me that just in the past and really I'm still kind of in that mindset, I'm trying to change it a little bit, but financial freedom for me is security. I'm somebody that came from not much money at all. Even working as a teacher for 14 years where money, like I struggled, it's always been an issue in my life and it's always been tough. So for me, like financial freedom was just always security for me, of just knowing that like, hey, I'm not living paycheck to paycheck and I'm able to do stuff, I'm able to save stuff, but now kind of opening up my mind a little bit to it of like, I would love to say it's still security because I'm still very, I don't know, I'm very process driven and I like things done a certain way and stuff like that. But also I say now it also financial freedom means possibilities of being able to figure out how to make, money work for you. So the money that used to make me feel secure and stuff like that, I still need that security, but there's a lot of possibilities I can do with that money to possibly make more and be able to do other things with. So I think it's, I say it's a little bit of two things for me. So it's security and possibilities are the two words that really come to me when it means to be financially free.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's awesome. So when you say like money work for you, and I'm sure a lot of people listen to this too, are struggling with money. They have struggled with money. I came from a teacher's background too. So my parents always kind of lived paycheck to paycheck. And I just kind of come from that middle class type of world too. So there's so many different ways to have money work for you. So in your mind, like in maybe the Snyder family, like what kind of floats your boat when, if you say, oh, I got this money, like how do you make it grow?
Yeah, I think so many different ways and so many different possibilities. And that's where like kind of the mental thinking you really step into you too, of like where I'm used to, like, I grew up like, hey, you have to save any money that you can because you need to be able to have this little nest egg in case something happens or anything like that. But then really understanding like, oh, you can use that money to continue to grow and it still be, kind of give you that sense of security and things like that. So really there's so many different possibilities, and real estate gives you so many different avenues with that, whether it's rentals or, being able to lend stuff. That's where I come from, of like, it's, I like the simple part of it, the easy part of it. And left where it's just like private lending is where I gravitate towards, because granted it's less I can do, but then also I can see like kind of how that money is working. I can see what kind of that end result's going to be. I can kind of I can set my own terms and kind of come up with that and stuff. So where I really gravitate towards is really understanding kind of what banks are doing to grow their money. And then how do I do that? How do I figure out how I can do that on my own? And essentially, hopefully, I'm not there yet. I'm still learning. I need to learn a whole bunch more, but basically essentially become that bank and be able to figure out how to use that money and really make it grow by whether it's using other people's money, using my own money, and really taking that to the next level and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Now that's funny. Reminds me, there was a bank robber. I forget who it was, but back in the day, and they said, "Why did you rob banks?" And he said, "Because that's where the money's at."
Simple.
Anyways, but I think you got it right. I mean, banks, they use their money and other people's money to make interest on it to make money. And it is the simplest way. It's the extreme passive way to make money. I enjoy private lending because it's right. It's super hands off. You trust someone, they're the ones doing everything, and you're making a return. And I'm kind of like you, like, I like to diversify. I like to take a little bit more of a risk and say, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, but something big could happen. That's kind of why we're doing wholesaling and all that. But I also like the security of like, you know what? I just want to make a certain percentage on this, and that's it.
Yeah.
Just call it a day.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm somebody I'm very different than a lot of people. So like, I'm not a big fan of debt. Like that's been that security thing and that type of thing for it. It's kind of a mental block for me. Like I understand the way debt works and how you can make debt, work for you and stuff like that. But still, I'm just like, I like to use cash for things. Like I like to like to be able to do that. So, but that's something that like I know that like I need to learn more about. I need to learn how to how to grow that and how to like understand how debt can work and things like that. But at the same time too, I'm never going to be somebody that's like over leveraged because this is not going to happen for me. That's scary. That gives me anxiety, even like seeing other people's situations and thinking about other people's situations. Like I get anxiety about that. So I'm on kind of the opposite end of where a lot of these people are, putting out content of like, hey, use this debt and make it work
Yeah.
for you. There's a lot to be said for that. I'm not there yet. And I know there's a lot of things I can learn about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And that reminds me too, it's not about what other people, this is about like this is about Brian, it's about
Yeah.
whoever's listening to this. And it reminds me, there's this one group called Life on Air, and they kind of help with drawing out your life mission and purpose and like what you want, what you don't want. And this one guy talked about that. He said, I never want to be in debt, because I think he had a huge issue with debt
Yeah.
in the past, and it kind of took him down. And he said, I never want to be in debt. Well, then, fast forward 2 or 3 years later, he was saying, I'm thinking about borrowing on this rental house. And then they said, what you talk like, that's not, you don't like debt. You said I will never be in debt. So he's like, oh yeah, it's a good reminder. So I think it's just, again, it's whoever you are. And that's great. Brian, we're just going to ask you one more question. So this is kind of about wholesaling, since we're obviously on the Wholesaling Made Simple channel and for simple wholesaling. So a lot of people start off in real estate in wholesaling because they think it's easy and just a simple process, and they can make a lot of money at it. But do you think that model, if someone has a wholesale business, is a good model for someone that wants to build financial freedom?
No, I don't. I think it's something that I think it's the first step. I think it's something that you can definitely use, to kind of build up to. So it's kind of that first step. You can use it to make money. I kind of look at like the wholesaling business is basically that's how you make a paycheck. But for you to gain freedom and for you to build your wealth and do that, you're going to have to do something else. Wholesaling is a transactional business. Like it's rinse and repeat, do it all over again and stuff like that. And we can do 300 deals in 1 year. And then, you like, it's a huge responsibility. Like, oh man, I got to do it again next year. Like it's very transactional. So I think it's definitely that a stepping stone. It's a way for you to kind of understand the business and see how real estate works. And for you to, it's like I said, it's for you to basically gain a paycheck, but then for you to gain financial freedom and for you to build wealth, you got to end up doing something different. You got to be able to figure out a way to every wholesaler that's done it for a while. We all think about the deals that we never should have sold. What deal should I have held on to because, man, that's a great rental right now, and that would have been a great long-term hold, or I could have kept this and sold it on a note and mortgage for, and held that note for 30 years and stuff. We all think about that. That's where it is. So think of wholesaling as a great way to make money. It's a great way to make a paycheck, but figuring out what to do with those properties and figuring out how to use those paychecks to help you get to that next level. That's what you need to do to be able to get to that financial freedom, to be able to build your wealth and be able to leave that legacy that so many of us want to leave.
Mm. No, I love it. I love it. And I want to just kind of end this Freedom Friday with this, as Brian just talks about this, is there was a term that I use a lot. I used to use it a lot more back in the day, is I always wanted that residual income, where it's basically just money coming in, whether I'm working today or not, or maybe it's money coming in from something I did 2 years ago. That's why I like lending money or doing seller financing contracts. Like, we get money that comes in every single month from something that we literally did 2.5 years ago, but we still get paid today for that. So as you're wholesaling, it's a great stepping stone. But when you start making money, what are you going to do with it? Maybe you want to buy a rental property. Maybe you want to lend. Maybe you want to do some seller financing. But how can you build that residual income? Because that's what's going to build freedom. And you don't have to do 300 deals again. So, Brian, thanks so much for being on Freedom Friday, man. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Brett.
If you guys are interested, make sure you check out, if you have any questions, Brian at simplewholesaling.com, Brett at simplewholesaling.com. We're coming out with content every single day of the week, and I'm in charge of Freedom Fridays, but check out our other content every other weekday, and we'll see you soon.